Fang and a number of people, including Sten this morning. Sten, are you still here? Oh, lovely. Went to a garden called the Masters of Nets. It's a semi-labyrinthic garden, some 600 years old, and it is half enclosed and half open spaces, half plants, half stones. It's a garden that survived the Cultural Revolution and somehow sustained its presence. And we purposefully had only the map that Fang did of the book, which essentially was considered a potential garden. In the first chapter, the one of disorientation in Iceland was an issue. And in order to experience the garden, talking about the lions, who have momentarily escaped us, oh, they're down there. The idea was to go with Sten, and through Sten, we, or I, would be able to become the garden with regards to using the time we spent there as a map. So the process of mapping and archiving and the body of Sten and me rehearsing as well started a book as an archive. Fang, I didn't mean to talk so much. Why don't you share your side of the story with us?
Thank you. But I think actually probably it's a little bit abstract if we like talking about garden somehow without in a way the presence, because the garden very much about how the experience that not through your physical bodies, within the encountering with the constructed nature, that how you can achieve those kind of harmony between like the inner space and the space that particularly constructed by your mind. So basically I think, so therefore I think a garden somehow becomes very interesting kind of a metaphor, to rethink about what's the relation between the individuals and the, let's say, the world. Because I think for a long time ago that we don't have the idea of the countries, the nations. So the nation is kind of very modern constructions within the modernity time, and particularly also related the force of how we enter into kind of new historical area. So this is somehow very interesting context to maybe taking the garden as a kind of a metaphor to redeparture. But meantime, I think also maybe it's very interesting to think about this daily life, because the garden is not something very spectacular, for somebody, for the visitors. Rather, it's considered as kind of private space where that is very much depending on how you gonna to maintain the space. So, which means that the life of garden quite depending on this daily maintenance. Meantime, also the ruin of garden is a part of its life. So this is somehow also gives a very, very much interesting approach to the meaning of life, the time. And so when, I think when we're so actually, we're talking about a lot, but there is very interesting perspective that that we feel actually the garden has been waiting for thousands of years for our arrival in order to meet and then to create something together. So that's probably also touched maybe today's maybe kind of issue that, how actually we become somehow that we are not outside of this world, rather that how these integration somehow happen daily. So I think this is maybe the interesting context maybe for this experiment, and then eventually probably also it leads to the perspective of how to understand the publication as a space, as a garden with a folking paths, and then to arrive in kind of a new survivor, which is probably also quite a challenge in our time.